someone tried to recruit me into their scandal.
In a world of shadows where secrets reside, a prophet named Jason with God as his guide. Forensic seer so young, with eyes so keen, used by the Almighty for visions unseen. Prophet Jason, a beacon in the night, unveiling God's truths in a world of light. Through the storms and battles he'd always persevere, for he's been chosen to do mighty exploits here. In a world of shadows where secrets reside, a prophet named Jason with God as his guide. Forensic seer so young, with eyes so keen, used by the Almighty for visions unseen. Prophet Jason, a beacon in the night, unveiling God's truths in a world of light. Through the storms and battles he'd always persevere, for he's been chosen to do mighty exploits here.
Shalom, and welcome to the second episode of the Unsilenced podcast. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, like this video, comment, and share. With that said and done, let us enter into today's topic. So today I want to speak about true prophets versus false prophets versus true prophets, authentic prophecies versus fabricated prophecies. And I don't want to speak about hearsay. I'm going to be giving you first-hand experiences. Right. I'll be giving you things that I witnessed with my own two eyes. And then maybe I will share a few stories I have heard from my pastor friends. Right. But most of the things I'll be speaking about are things that happened in my presence, happened before me. I'm very much aware of them. Right. The first thing I'm going to say is that I've interacted with people, great men, that people think are faking prophecies, but they are not. Some of them are trending out there and they're known to be false prophets and what. But I can tell you firsthand that I've seen and I've tested their prophetic ability. Right. And I've seen people out there who have also been faking the prophetic, stage managing things. Right. At one point in time, someone tried to recruit me into their scandal, only to find that I'm not easily bought. I am not easily bought. So I did not fall for it. How did this happen? So there was a certain pastor who was hosting a certain revival. So when this pastor was hosting a certain revival, and then I was called to be one of the guest speakers. So I had been to his church before. I had ministered, prophesied, conducted deliverance, and no, the response was so great, and people were blessed, and they were sending thank you messages like, men of God were so blessed, the message was powerful, the ministration was powerful. So this man called me again. Right. When this man called me again for a revival, and then I remember driving and parking outside of the church, and then came out of his car. He came to the car I was driving, sat at the passenger seat, and he began to speak. As we're speaking, was telling me, man of God, I'm in financial difficulties. At least we can raise money in this revival to cover up certain things, certain loose ends. Like, I know I hear, man of God, I feel your pain, and by the grace of God, we believe that it's gonna be a productive revival, both spiritually, physically, and financially. Right. So as we're speaking, a car drives. A lady comes out of the car, enters the church, and the man says, "Prophet, do you see this lady?" And I'm saying, "Yeah, I can see the lady." The man of God says, "This lady has money. The husband passed away. The lady's a teacher and left a lot of things to him, but the family is trying to take over." And started to tell me details about this lady, mentioning even like names, saying the brother of the late husband is trying to take this and that, and this is the name. And he said, "Prophet, this lady has money, but she came to me. but she is not easily convinced to give. That's what the man said. So I want you to do this. I want you to prophesy to him. And when you mention the name of this person, she's going to be shocked. After that, call a certain amount of seed. Said, if you call 4,000, we'll split it 50-50, which means you'll get 2,000, I'll get 2,000. Because she has the money, but she doesn't want to give. Red flag. Okay. There's a bit of noise outside. But okay, I think that's better. So the man of God says, if you call a seed of 4,000, we will split it in half. I'm not going to mention any names. I believe the man of God has repented. If not, we are praying for him. Yeah. So now it says we're going to split this money in half. Right. I'm like, this man truly asking me to do this. Is this man genuinely asking me to do this? Okay. Said, yeah, no. So whatever amount, even if you can say 10,000, the person will take out that money. It's like, okay. I hear you, man of God. We trust God. We get inside the church, worship and everything, and then he introduces me. I take the stage, I preach. The message is powerful. I preach. Time comes for deliverance and prophecy. The lady comes, and I decided not to give a prophecy concerning anything that the man had told me, because I'll be prophesying. That will not be prophecy. That was not going to be prophecy, people of God. So I touched other areas and then prayed for her. Touched other areas, then prayed for her. Right. So I never told her to give any amount. I was so wise in that, because the following time, he will tell people that, I think Prophet Jason is accurate. No, remember that prophecy. We spoke in the car and he brought it as a prophecy. Right. Later, I found out that this is what this man does, because I invited the man to do a certain revival. And I'm inviting this man not in my church, but in a spiritual son's church. Invite the man. The first day, he says, well, it was supposed to be a 5-day revival. The first day, he says, okay, he wants to preach. I'm saying, okay, not a problem. Preach. I was going to give him 2 days, and I was going to take 5 days. So he preaches the first day. Preaches. No, the preaching is powerful online. At the end, a little bit better. Because he preached, and then after that, at the end, he was teaching. So while he was preaching, the people were activated, they were like moving, yeah. And then at the end, a teaching environment brings the people down. It's not that the teaching was bad, but when you teach, the environment is, a little bit calmer than when you're preaching. And God is taking you out, people are like in high spirit and in high emotions. So very well. Right. So I believe that affected maybe the ability to prophesy, because he failed to prophesy after that. He wanted to prophesy. People said, can I prophesy? People said, yeah, prophesy. But there was no prophecy after that. It happens. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. There's nothing wrong with that. The people are not energetic. Sometimes the prophetic, you hear prophets like Bushiru saying, the prophetic grace upon them responds to noise. That is why they want you to be active, right? As a prophet, it does something. That is a story for another day, right? So he preaches, and then at the end, it becomes a teaching, and now the atmosphere is a bit calm, and he wants to prophesy, and then there's a bit of struggle, because now the people are at a calm state. They are not responding the way he wants them to respond. Okay, we sleep, and then the following day, the man of God is asking me things. Okay, what's happening there? What about that person? I'm speaking innocently, so I am speaking innocently. So I'm speaking. I'm telling them, okay. I'm telling the man, this is that. Second day comes, Jesus. The first person he asked me about is the first person he prophesied. And he's mentioning everything we spoke about. And the church goes wild. Go deeper, man of God, go deeper. I'm like, what's happening here? I'll go to my spiritual son. the owner of the church, like sort of like pinch him, as if I'm resting my hand and then I'm pinching his shoulder, trying to get his attention, but he does not understand what's happening. He was at the camera right there. Does not understand what is happening. Now, with that being said and done, after church, okay, I say, of course, let me speak to my son. There's something we need to fix first. I think the man knowing that I might be trying to address this issue because we spoke about it in the morning. And everything that he's prophesying, only me and him know that we spoke about it. No one else knows. Only me and him know that we spoke about it. So I got there, I tell my son, hey, I don't know what's happening. Every prophecy the man of God gave there, we spoke about it in the morning. Everything we said, we spoke about it in the morning. He said in a form of prophets. And the son said, hey, I don't know, I was not there, but I know that the type of person you are, my father, you wouldn't lie about this. I said, okay, no, it's not a problem. Go in, we speak, go in and we are eating, and then we speak about a certain guy. When the man of God was praying and prophesying, the guy was in a hurry to leave, and he asked him, hey, don't leave yet. And the guy said, okay, but I stay far and it's late. And the prophet said, are you gonna come back the following day? The guy said, I'm gonna come back. He said, I'll come back, I have a word for you. So I was speaking about this guy, certain things. And the man of God is asking, which guy is this? And he said, no, the guy you spoke to at the end wanted to leave because he stays far. I said, oh, okay. So this guy, once things go well, he leaves the church. Once things are bad, he comes back and needs, the problems, needs prayers, and he goes back and leaves the church. Is going to and from. When things are okay, he does not come to church. When things are bad, he comes to church. Speak that out. It's working in the mind, stuff like that. But at that time, it has been over 3 months, him not working. That is why I came to church. It's coming to church. We forgot to mention that one. Not because we're trapping the man. We just forgot. We're just speaking because, there's a lot of things we're speaking about in his presence. The following day, he prophesies the guy. He says, I'm seeing you working in a mine. In fact, they're about to promote you. Working in a mine. They're about to promote the person. And then now my son looks at me, he says, he's connecting the dots. We spoke about him working in the mine. We never said he has been laid off for over 3 months. He has not been working. Up until today, the guy's not working, and it has been over 2 to 3 years. If I'm not mistaken, 2 years, yeah, something like that, 2 to 3 years, somewhere around there. 2 years, around there. I'm not sure when this happened. We never mentioned that. After service, he comes to me. Oh, before the service is over, there is a girl who was serving, because I'd come with a certain pastor, so there were people serving, like bringing breakfast, stuff like that, making sure me and the visitor, the guest pastor, are okay, we're not hungry, making sure everything's okay, bringing fruits, So there was one person from the church who was assigned, right, to bring food, and it's time to eat. The girl would knock, here's your food, can I get you anything else, stuff like that, no, okay, stuff like that. It was to and fro, like that. And he asked me, as this girl was bringing these things, this girl has a humble spirit, what's her name? I mentioned the name, and okay, he says, okay, God's gonna bless this one. In church, after prophesying to this to this guy with this thing, what you call the mind thing, the mind job in promotion, goes to this girl. He says, I'm seeing a person in this church with the name like, So now he had forgotten the name, but he tried to mention a name that is close to it, like the way the sound, the syllables, it sounded, but it's not the same. Right? Like somewhere at the end, somewhere, but it's a completely different name. And people say we don't have someone like that. Who is Winnie? the name was Winile, but at the end it shared the same like pronunciation. People said, there's no one like that. Try to speak about names like that, like mention other names like, okay, someone like, let's say you don't have such a person in this church. So God is telling me about someone like that. Now he does not come to me when he sits down, he sees that he has missed and no one is coming forth, and the church is saying there's no one like that. Calls the hosting pastor my son, he says, what's the name of that girl? And points at the girl who was serving us, and he asked me the name. Right. He asked me the name, and I said, I mentioned the name. And my son says, yeah, that girl's name is and I said, oh, right. So that time, the faking of the prophetic word failed. He failed because now he forgot the name. So now trying to do that failed. Now I am by no means questioning, or I'm by no means saying this man is not called of God, but sometimes you try to, you know, when you portray yourself in a certain level of grace that you have not reached, and you try to imitate certain people who are at a higher grace. I've seen that in most cases, pastors, young pastors do that. Young pastors do that. I've seen that in most cases, many a times. Many a times I've seen that becoming the case. So there is a genuine calling upon the men, but there are some dodgy things that are there. But it's not for me to judge. And that's why I'm not even mentioning his name and mentioning the church, because I don't want to ruin his reputation. This is not an expose podcast, but we're just learning and growing and, you know, correcting each other then and there. In a nice but firm manner. Yeah. So then I saw that, okay, this is how this man operates. This is how this man operates. This is how this man operates. It's like, these things I thought when they speak about prophecies being staged, they are lying. They are accusing certain men, but it's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. By the special grace of God, I've been able to interact with certain big names. Not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, but numerous big names in the Christian circle here in South Africa. And there was one video that made rounds on the internet, whereby I received a prophetic word from one prophet. It's not originally from South Africa, but it's here in South Africa. The church is in South Africa. Made rounds, and people are saying that me and that man staged certain things. And it's definitely not true. That is not true. But the prophetic ability upon that man is genuine. Although many people might question the way he does ministry, maybe you can question the source, but believe me, that man can see. That man can see. I got time to even sit with him after church, and we spoke, like interacting at a certain point. You know, it's like, this man, this is a cool guy. And I came back, I told my sons that, no, so many people misunderstand and misinterpret this guy. He's a good guy. So there might be certain ways or methods he conducts ministry that might raise suspicions, right? But when it comes to accuracy, I promise you, my man, I promise you that prophet is accurate. So, but so many people believe him to be fake. I remember after that video trended, certain pastor friends of mine, pastors who were friends of mine, or are friends of mine, or, you know, some reached out to me and said, hey, man, I want to go to see this prophet. I said, you know, the best thing to guarantee that he speaks to you is book for one-on-one. I said, so how is he? I said, that man is accurate, man. That man can see. Right. Forget what people are saying. That man is accurate. I was speaking based on my experience and my encounter on screen and off screen, because I had interactions with him on screen, I had interactions with him off screen. So people were seeing the on-screen interactions, that small clip whereby I'm receiving a prophetic word, but there were interactions behind the scenes after that, right? Where I got to know a little bit more of the man. So speaking, I'm telling them, that man is accurate. Forget what people are saying. And we spoke more about the prophetic with this friend of mine, and he said, hey, this thing is happening. And I had a certain pastor who invited me and said, in Johannesburg, said, most of the churches that are prophetic here, they're faking it. They have a system of how they do it. He said, are you sure? He said, okay, I'll prove to you. And the pastor said, let's go to a church. I said, when you enter the church, me and you should not register. Don't register your name, your number, where you're staying from, where you're coming from. Don't register anything, just don't. And they had a guest pastor there. So this is me receiving this information over the phone. This guy is telling me because he wants to go to the prophet I was in. So now I told him, no, that one is genuine. I'm telling you, I've interacted. I can vouch for his prophetic ability. You may rather question his source. That's not a problem. I'm not going to defend him there. But all I know is a man of God. So now, but you can question his source. But when it comes to whether they can see or not, I can vouch for. I have evidence that man can see. So now we're speaking on that. Say, hey, there was so many of these people are like this. And so he's telling me about the experience that he went with this pastor, and they never registered. And remember, there's a guest pastor coming to minister. He said, everyone in church was prophesied to, except him and the pastor who took him there. Only 2 people were left, and it was the 2 of them. After they said, you see, I told you, if we had registered, the guest pastor was going to have information on us and was going to have something to say. The guest pastor would have had something on us, and our names were going to be called out. So when it comes to the prophetic is real, but there's so much faking, staging out there that it has become difficult to recognize between what is true and what is false, because some, I don't know where these people get their actors from. Some, the way the church has become a playground. We have great A actors in the church that could rival like professional actors we see on DSTV, on this soapies we love the most, because these people are so good at acting, even crying. They can make you emotional. Oh, the power of God! Wow, this man of God. Hey, hey, me, I've seen it. I've seen it all. So I'm hoping that this podcast, as we grow and we speak more and more about these things, as we grow and we mature, to speak more and more about these things, certain people's eyes will be open, because I personally know people who no longer believe in the prophetic because of what happened. Right. Some people started doubting the prophetic when we had these fights. There was this misunderstanding. I'm not saying fights between 2 generals. One is Shepherd Bushiri and the other is Apostle 𝐽𝐵𝐸𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿. There was all those things, sons from 𝐽𝐵𝐸𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿 going to ECG and speaking about 𝐸𝐸𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐿, and then sons from Bushiri going to Charis speaking about Bushiri. And a lot of people left the prophetic boat. They left the prophetic bus. This thing is because the impact that Bushiri had, and when such things were being said by people who are close, some people, it's very easy to believe whether it's true or not, whether it's fabricated or not. Remember, you are not sold by a stranger, but for your betrayal to be convincing and for the lie to be convincing, the devil must use someone who is very much close to you. So people will believe, because they'd have seen that person with you in your private space, and they will say, this person is the right person to speak, because he has the knowledge, he has the access, he has seen things that we don't see. Right. So it's easy to believe someone who's close, and that's the weapon of the enemy. So But that is not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on my personal experiences. On my personal experiences. So as we continue with this podcast, most, not all, but most of the conversations will be centered around the prophetic ministry. Most of the conversations will be centered around the prophetic ministry. And hopefully we will bring back the love, the trust, and we'll find ways based on scripture. We'll discover ways based on scripture on how to identify what does the Bible say about true and fake prophets. The Bible speaks about prophets who prophesy things and they don't come to pass. How do you handle such? Right. How do you handle such? How do you handle people that fabricate prophecies that say that thus saith the Lord? Thus saith the Lord of hosts. Thus saith the Lord of hosts. How do you handle that? So the first podcast I was speaking about the future of the prophetic. As much as everything is happening, I'm happy that we have promising people in the prophetic. I mentioned 𝐓𝐫𝐸𝐻 Jr., Prophet 𝐓𝐫𝐸𝐻 Jr., Seer, also known as Seer, Prophet Seer. We've got people like that. We've got people like Evidence Chari. We've got people like, I'm not going to speak about the fathers. I'm going to speak about, the younger generation. I'm not going to speak about 𝐏𝐫𝐸𝐻. 𝐏𝐿𝐴 is not a father. He's a father. So I'm speaking about the generation after 𝐏𝐿𝐴. We've got people like F.J. Moses, Prophet 𝐓𝐺𝐸. That man, genuine. How can I forget F.J. Moses? No. I'm not gonna say much, but I've seen people questioning Prophet 𝐓𝐺𝐸. Prophet 𝐓𝐺𝐸 is very accurate. He has given me prophetic words, and sometimes, when somebody gives you a prophetic word and you think you fully grasp the word, but you don't. No, you don't. So prophetic word he gave to me, and at one point in time I thought, oh, now this is it. This is it. This is what it meant. No. It kept on unfolding. I was like, And the more I went back and I would look at the prophetic word, it made more clear sense that this was deeper than what I initially thought. And everything is played out exactly as he said. Exactly as he said. And this man. So we've got people like that. We've got people like that. People of a good moral standing. They have a good moral compass, integrity, rooted in the word. They have sound teaching, sound doctrine, and they are representing the prophetic office well. They are representing the prophetic office well, and they are facing a lot of backlash, a lot of opposition, and especially from pastors. Your enemy as a pastor is a pastor. The person who wants to see your downfall the most as a minister of God is another minister of God. So he's being fought even by ministers of God. But man, South Africa should watch the space. South Africa should watch the space. I believe and I know that Prophet F.J. Moses is going far. The accuracy of that man. The accuracy of that man. And I believe that it's God's time to show it. It's God's time to expose him to the world. It's God's time to expose him to the world. For those who don't know him, you can search even his church, Revelation Church of Christ. I believe that if you go there, you'll come back with a solution. Yeah, so it's me plugging the men of God now. Because, as I said, I'm speaking from experiences. That man can truly hear from God. So if we have such people, at least we can rest assured that the prophetic the future of the prophetic is in good hands, because God is taking fathers. Can you imagine how many prophets have spoken about this? God taking fathers. Prophet Fadzai also spoke about this. Even the passing of TB Josh, he prophesied about it. If prophets like Indlo were prophesying about the past, the God taking fathers. We had people like Prophet 𝐓𝐫𝐻𝐸𝐴𝐤𝐿 speaking about that. So as God is taking the fathers, what about the generation that remains behind? What about the Elishas? When God is taking the Elishas, will the Elishas be able to move in the spirit of Elijah? But I do believe we have a fighting chance when we have men like this, 𝐓𝐫𝐻𝐸𝐤𝐿 Jr., men like Prophet Fadzai, so, and many more, because I cannot mention everybody here, right? We've got so many people. As much as there's a lot of shaking in the prophetic, and a lot of people starting to doubt, and some have gone beyond the level of doubt. They are now saying it does not exist. Like, they're convinced that every prophet is false. Everyone prophesying is faking because of substantial evidence, like beyond reasonable doubt. Evidence being brought that there's no way you you can say it's not true. Like, there are certain exposés that came out with hardcore evidences. Like, you can't deny the fact that there's foul play in the prophetic, and even other prophets have spoken about this, that there's foul play in the prophetic. There are people staging, right? Because the prophetic brings numbers. People want to hear what God is saying. People want to know what the future holds. People want to be told that they're going to prosper. People are in pain, and they find comfort in the prophetic, and that is what most prophets use. They'll tell you God is going to bless you because that is what you want to hear. That is what you want to hear, how much God is going to bless you, how much your life is going to change. God does want to bless you, yes. But there are people who are just using scripture to manipulate you into giving, manipulate you into doing certain things, manipulate you into becoming a member. There are so many reasons behind why they do this: to create a name for themselves, for them to get a small clip it, and then they trend on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, and everything, so that they bring other people. They might not get money from you, but there might be someone watching that small clip at you saying, yes, oh yes, man of God, hey, and then that person might so become a monthly partner, So in one way or another, they are definitely benefiting. They are definitely benefiting, and that is why I am always thankful to God that we have people like Emmanuel Makandiwa. I won't lie, I'm learning from that man. I'm learning from that man. Even the first time I went to Zimbabwe as an international visitor, there, I always tell people the experience there. So it has become a place for my spiritual rejuvenation. Whenever I need to be revived, and I just need, the first place that comes to mind is Life Haven, Zimbabwe, Harare. 𝐾𝐄 every time I come back from that place, I come back a better person, edified, a new person, from the teachings, the atmosphere, just being in the presence and listening to the men teach. That man carries some great wisdom, and he's a gift to the world. It's definitely a gift to the world. So we thank God for such people, and I would urge every preacher, especially young preachers, get a man who has sound doctrine, a teacher like Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa, a man whom, whenever you listen to his teachings, you are morphed into a better version of yourself. You are being molded into a more capable version of yourself. You are being, the more you listen to his teachings, you are being molded into into the final picture of what God wants you to be. That is how I feel whenever I listen to his teachings. So, the prophetic is still in good hands. The prophetic is still in good hands. And we need more people of stature, character, people with a good moral compass. Because the end time revival is a prophetic revival. The end time revival is a prophetic revival. I don't know if this has helped anybody, but I do believe that, yes. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe, like this video, leave a comment. What would you like me to speak about next? Share with your friends, family members. Share with anyone you think would need to hear and to listen to this. And let us grow together. Let's take this journey together. There are many more episodes to come, and I believe each and every episode will be better than the previous one. We'll keep on increasing. We'll keep on bettering ourselves. Amen. Yeah. With that said and done, may God bless you. May God increase you. Shalom.